And welcome back to the Real Conversations podcast. This is going to be a fun episode. This is the 100 episode celebration. It's technically like episode 105 or something, but I figured, let's have the boys out. Let's have some good conversation aiming upwards, but let's also kind of have a good time and hang out and just let the camera roll. Mm-hmm. Grant, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Anytime you got Mike's Hard, I'll be here. Got some Mike's Hard covered in Wichita State. What, koozie? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's a good time.
John, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've got some mystery whiskey. I don't know what it is. It was in my decanter that I've had for 4 years or something like that.
What is a decanter?
It's just like a glass decorative piece that you hold bourbon / whiskey in. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got my name on it.
That's
pretty
sick.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Nice. Well, Grant, you just got back from Mexico.
Yeah, dude. I'm so tan. I had a great time.
Can you pull the mic closer?
Yeah. I'm super tan. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, it's fun. I had a great time. It's the first time I've gone somewhere and being able to speak their language fluently. It was a great time. I mean, all of them speak English for the most part, but only in the things that they, like if they work in restaurant, then they'll speak English for like the food area and stuff. So it really enabled me to meet people in a way that I couldn't have beforehand, even though I could communicate with them effectively with English. So it was a great time.
That's really cool. Yeah, because we talked about that last episode. You got your seal by literacy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's going to Mexico and talking in Spanish is always something that's like, because you and I were talking about that colloquially, they say things that are not quite like what you would learn traditionally, like on a Duolingo or something. Mm-hmm. I think one of them you said was like "Que padre." Yeah,
that's how they say like how cool is "Que padre," which translates to "how dad."
Yeah.
And I was like, they said the first time, I was like, where?
I'm going to toss that out in the episode later. You're going to say something and be like, "How dad?" That's kind of sick.
Yeah, they have some funny slang. They really do.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I said kind of before we started recording with the way that we're set up. First of all, I heard your feedback. John has been out of camera for like the last 15 episodes that he's done. And I was like, we got to find a way to fit all three of us on camera. So this is the orientation that I came up with. But then subsequently before the podcast, I realized I feel like I'm hosting a debate. You got me at the head of the table and you got you guys facing each other in the middle. So I think that's a segment we'll have to do at some point too.
You ever think you'll move to multiple cameras?
Yeah, I have a nice GoPro that I could use. It just takes extra work doing that editing. And my frustration was if you have one camera, then it's really good for just a straight on shot. And that's like your barrier to entry for recording with camera. But then if you want to do a multi-view camera, you really need three. You need one to face directly on where you can get all the subjects in one shot. And then one for each guest facing towards them directly so you can clip it much better. And so since I have two cameras, I'm like, well, I don't want to buy a third. So I'm kind of in a predicament right now.
Valid. No, that makes sense.
So in the long run, I will.
Yeah.
But not right now.
I say you just go for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you funding this?
Nope. I'm just the audience here.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounding board for sure.
I halfway wanted to do this in the restaurant. They got the concrete poured yesterday, so like we could have walked in there and set up a table or something, and we have a temporary outlet that's in the back of it. And then I also kind of realized there's no air conditioning right now. And so I was like, I think let's do it at the house with the air conditioning.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think the framers were supposed to be in today too, but I didn't see them out there.
No, they weren't out there whenever I was there this morning. Then you just got back from the gym, so I'm guessing they're not coming today.
No, sounds like not, but yeah.
This is cool. I've done over 300 podcast episodes since my senior year of high school. And so whenever I rebranded from Venture Mentality, I did 157 episodes of that. And then I switched it to Real Conversations for many different reasons. But to hit one episode a week for 100 weeks was kind of cool. So I'm glad that like we get to sit down and actually kind of celebrate that.
Yeah, reflect on it.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've done something like that?
Yeah. So I did a 4-year podcast reflection episode last year. But that was more of me talking about like the guests specifically. This is the first time I've sat with other people and kind of done like a little celebration get together type of thing. So I was thinking do it for 100 episodes and then maybe like the 5-year mark and then 200 in the 6th year. So every 100 or every anniversary, maybe something like that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Do you have it mapped out yet? Like when you'll hit those goals? I mean, obviously if you hit one per week, you'll hit it at a certain date.
I didn't look it up. I mean, with this being episode 105, it's going to be 2 years before we get to episode 200.
It's true.
So it's wild, man. Because it's been consistently not missing an episode for over a year at this point. When I first started Real Conversations, I was missing a week here or there. It was probably like 3 episodes a month instead of 4. And then like January 1st or maybe the week after that of a year ago, I was like, okay, if I'm going to take this seriously, I can't miss any more weeks. It's like, well, you're in Florida, I'm trying to come up with episodes, and while we're building out the restaurant, I'm trying to come up with episodes. And so I think I'm most proud of the consistency. I think that's something that's like, okay, I can just keep staying consistent and things will take care of themselves.
You ever think you'll do more than one episode a week?
I used to do 3 a week with the Venture Mentality podcast.
Wow.
But I didn't have a restaurant and I didn't have everything else going on. So, I mean, eventually it'd be kind of cool to get to the Joe Rogan style where it's like, you have a guest coming in town, you'll do 3 in 1 week with 3 different people just kind of traveling through. But for now, I can barely handle one. So that's all I can do for now.
Yeah, it's hard to balance it.
Yeah, it's very hard to balance it. We're recording Saturday, and then I got to edit this tomorrow, and it'll come out on Monday.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other thing is you got to keep quality up as well. Like if you're pumping out 3 podcasts a week, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough on the editing front and everything like that. It's just, what is it? The Acquired podcast? Mm-hmm. They spend weeks on a single episode and then just put it out whenever. You know what I mean? But they're fantastic. They're like 3 to 4 hours long. It's wonderful.
What all goes into a podcast? I mean, I think most people see it as an hour-long conversation, but obviously there's a lot that goes on in the background.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, this equipment wasn't possible for me 4 years ago. If we were going to do a 3-person podcast, which I almost never did, it would have been one mic central in between all 3 of us. It would have been plugged into my computer, so it would have been a USB plug-in. Mm-hmm. And that audio quality was brutal. Like for the first maybe 30 episodes of the Venture Mentality podcast, I was doing it on Zoom. So I was recording someone through Zoom using a Yeti Snowball, or I think a Yeti Snowball is what the name of the microphone was. But I'd plug that into my computer, and I go back and listen to those episodes, and what I've realized is I don't even think I had, like, you have to click in Zoom to change it to the microphone. I think I was just recording it straight through the computer and not actually using the input from the microphone. So all those episodes, first of all, I was a terrible interviewer and couldn't hold a conversation, but also those episodes themselves, like the audio quality is terrible. And so, I mean, that's just like level 1. To get to all of this, I mean, it's thousands of dollars in investment. It's a lot of time. And then every week I'm scrambling to find guests. Like I don't have a guest for next week's episode or the week after that. Like it's every week I'm trying to make something happen within 7 days.
Yeah. But what all goes into the editing and things? How long does that take you?
I mean, that kind of varies. If maybe like 3 hours. Yeah. If I want to make clips, maybe like 5 hours, clips for social media and stuff to share.
How do you prepare for them? Like for the interview itself, and then obviously the equipment, how long does that take to set up as well?
Yeah, the equipment, it depends on the setup. Like whenever I did the episode with Peter Nelson, which was in his sauna in Ohio, I had to travel with all the equipment. So that was 10 hours of driving to get to him and get whatever. But the actual like setting up inside of a sauna, I don't know if you've seen a cylindrical sauna and trying to have a camera angle come in while having the mics. That was like a 40-minute setup. That was terrible. Even your house, that took like 25 minutes too.
Yeah.
So I would say on average 20, 25 minutes. But then if it's a bad setup, then 45 or so.
Gotcha. And I always wondered, so with the guests coming on, how do most of them, you've known them for quite a while and you know exactly kind of what you want to talk about, or how do you prepare for each guest coming on?
Most of them I've never met before. So it's like the first time we meet is like a say hi and then I start recording type of thing. So most of the guests that I have on, I either have a relationship with, like you were just saying, so I don't have to prepare as much. But if I don't know them, they're typically pretty well known elsewhere, just like in their respective fields. So I'll listen to a podcast on them. I'll watch their videos on YouTube if they have some sort of content they're putting out. And then I'll spend like an hour going through their social media, just like really trying to get to know them a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always interesting because you always look at the episode and it's an hour long. It's 1 hour a week. That's not too bad to do out of this. But then it's kind of accumulates with the equipment and then the editing and then the preparing.
Yeah, it's a lot. Now, an interesting thought exercise is like you go to like a grand opening, like the Commerce Club opened downtown. John and I went down there. It's a bunch of business figures that we're getting to meet with. And you walk into a room and you realize, I don't know anyone here. And you're like, okay, now I've got to do this whole thing. I had to go introduce myself. And it's like this awkward, there's a lot of tension with like meeting new people or trying to, no one's walking up to you. It's up to you to initiate.
Yeah. And
then it's like, think about with a podcast, like the first time you ever meeting them, it's recorded. And so like, you really don't know how it's going to go. And there's a lot of uncertainty in that. That took a long time to get used to. That was like really uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's one thing I think my job's helped me with is just initiating conversations with random people. And then, I mean, it can be nerve-wracking at times, but when you kind of weigh the plus minus of it, the plus side is if it goes well, you have a really great friend and a connection, and then on the bad side, it's an awkward conversation and you move on.
Yeah. Well, you seem to do a pretty good job of that. We saw you at the gym the other day, and it's like every person that walked in, you were like, hey, and you said hi, you knew their name, they said hi right back, then you got back to your lift, and I was like, man, Grant's really been making his rounds.
It makes my workout so long. I love it so much. It's so much fun. But now it's to the point where I go to the gym for an hour and 15, and I think 45 of it's talking to people and 45 minutes working out. So it's fun, and I wouldn't change anything about it. But
an hour 15, man, that growth, because the first time you came on, you were doing like 30, 35-minute lifts, and your whole thing was efficiency, and you've come a long way from reading books at the gym to now having it be social hour.
For sure. And it's nice, too, because I stopped reading books in the gym because now the people working in the gym spoke Spanish. And so then I would just talk to them in between it. So that worked out really well. And then they moved to the reception. So then I had to go talk to them at the reception real quick. And I would do that at the start and at the end. And because I'd come in with questions over Spanish and we'd have a conversation about it. And then I would think about the questions and while I was working out and then come back with it. But yeah, it's lengthened my workout by quite a bit, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. The other reason I wanted to have to do this episode pertaining to the gym was I want Jon and I to try and structure a cohesive argument for you to start utilizing the sauna.
The sauna?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like my biggest pet peeve is like, Grant, you want to hop in the sauna when we're done? You're like, no, I got to get going. And I'm like, dude, get in the sauna with us.
Yeah, well, I get sweaty, and then the thing is, and then it's
I'm
hard.
I'm still sweating.
Yeah.
I've structured my day to need 2 showers a day right now.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah, but if it's one thing, I can't add another one with the sauna. Then I would have to go. I have stuff afterwards, and then I wouldn't be able to then do that looking all sweaty.
So
I was going to say I don't want to get too intrusive, but when are your shower periods? Because I'm guessing probably 1 in the morning and then 1 at night after you go to the gym, or
yeah. No, now that I think about it, sometimes it doesn't happen at night. It depends on how active the workout is.
Fair enough.
If it's something like I don't know about you guys, but if it's just standard weightlifting and stuff, I don't get that sweaty. If I do like a functional workout, then then I'll have to shower. But it just takes a long time, I feel like. So I'm trying to avoid that. And a third one.
How long do your showers take?
The real truth comes out.
Yeah.
The one in the morning is probably 12 minutes. And that's one I'm trying to get down. But again, it's like the morning rant that we talked about last time.
Right. Yeah, that's tough.
But at night, it's 7 minutes. So.
And you have issues with taking another 7 minutes to shower after the sauna?
Well, you can't do things. I have things afterwards, though. Oh, I guess I could do it at the gym itself.
Yeah, I've showered at the gym a lot.
But then I have my hair all sweaty and stuff. I'm not sweaty, wet.
You bring a towel?
I bring a towel, but it doesn't go
They have
like
blow dryers.
That's true, too. Okay. I'll think about it quite a bit. Yeah.
We put them in a corner successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, so how long do you sauna it for?
So in order, at 200 degrees, in order to hit your minimum benefit, get 10 to 15 minutes, I typically try and do 20. And then Jon and I, for no benefit other than purely mental, try and kill ourselves about once or twice a week and just go as long as we can. Like, how long did you go today, Jon?
33 minutes. It was terrible.
So then this is looking at making my workout period 2 hours.
That's what, dude, we budget at least 2 hours if we're going to the gym.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to do 50 minutes.
Yeah.
In and out. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
I'd be tired by the end of it.
Now, hear me out, though, because you like your social element. Jon and I don't talk to, unless Rob's there. Rob always, he's yapping. But if Rob's not there, we don't talk too much while we lift. What we do is in the sauna, because of the endorphins that are released whenever you have that heat shock happen to you, you have incredible conversations. So cut out all of your conversations in the gym. Get your lift done back to 30 minutes like you used to. Get your friends that speak Spanish, us included. We'll hop in the sauna together and we'll hablo español.
All right. Que padre.
Sí. Que padre.
Un poco.
Maybe, man. Maybe. You do it every day?
I used to, but now because I'm getting back into ultramarathon running, I'm only lifting 4 times a week.
Okay.
So I'll sauna 4, but Jon, do you?
I do, yeah. I do pretty much every day. But I feel like it's more mental for me.
Yeah.
Just a good relaxation period following a good workout.
Yeah. I need it at my house. I think I could do it at my house.
Dude, if you've got a disposable budget, I can get you a sauna to your house, a real nice one.
I sadly do not have a disposable budget.
Well, you're a homeowner. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, well, let's repurpose one of these rooms to just make it a sauna.
Dude, I feel like that's something Jerome's going to do in his basement.
Yeah. Sure.
If anyone would take it on, it would be him.
That's one guy you should have on the podcast, Jerome.
There's a lot of room for things to go wrong.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's very true.
I love Jerome, dude. He's so fun.
Yeah, he is.
He just got his project like finished or something. Did you see that on LinkedIn?
Amazing award.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was like out in California, wasn't it?
Yeah. He worked very hard on this paper, and he was recognized on it and won some massive award and got recognized for it at a conference.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Shout out Jerome.
Shout out Jerome.
Teo.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry.
This is his last name?
No. But that's his short name. Jerry for Jerome.
Who calls him Jerry?
We do in basketball.
When do you guys play basketball?
Sundays and Wednesdays.
Oh, you're still playing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You guys have to come out.
I want to get back out there.
For sure.
My knee's finally doing better. That's the other thing I want to bring up on the podcast too, is I'm here to formally vote to reinstate Friday 5.
Oh, wow.
I'm here for it. Now, I think if we start at 6, what time do we start? 6 or 6:30?
6.
Okay, if we start at 6, maybe even 6:30, and we start at another Broken Egg restaurant, which is conveniently like less than a quarter mile from Coke.
Yeah.
We run our 5 miles. Maybe someone can get, an ice tub set up over there and we can figure that out in the long run. But I think I've got a nice route that we can do from there and back. And then you don't live too far, I don't live too far, and we can get people to come out and it's just a central spot.
Yeah. That wouldn't be too bad at all.
So I'm looking at doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to shower.
Oh, I will shower too, yeah.
It's pretty disgusting.
Coke's got showers.
Do they?
Yeah.
Can you sneak us in?
Not on the podcast. I'm kidding. I will not.
Grant Johnson, #1 employee.
For the record.
Shoot, but I started working pretty late on things is because I'm so hard to value all these things. You value sleep, you value saunas, and you value running, and you value waking up more in the mornings. And then sometimes they start to collide and you run out of hours. And I've been working on things so late in the night.
How late you been working till?
Usually I try to close things off at 10:30. Well, that's what time I try to close it off. And then it's like one more thing and one more thing. And then I need to cut it off hard at 10:30, but usually it's like 11, and then I have to do everything to go to bed, and then I have to wake up at 7. But I'm trying to get 8 hours. So
yeah, that's a tight window.
Yeah. I mean, sleep's important, but I think if you're over 7, you're probably doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Like if you need 45 more minutes.
I notice a big difference.
Okay.
And it's more that I wake up naturally and at the same time every day than anything, except for weekends. If I can wake up naturally or if I wake up at 7, then I do fine.
Or the weekend you wake up at 7?
No, the weekends I wake up naturally.
Okay. Which is like?
It'll probably be 8.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like 10 or 11. I was like, whoa.
No. Sadly, even if I go to bed 3 a.m., it'll be like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
The rest of the day would be bad.
It's interesting to see how sleep patterns have changed. Like, I never was really one to wake up at like 10 a.m. on the weekends whenever I was back in high school, but there have been a couple of times where you're out late and you get up at 10 or 11 on a very rare occasion. Or even it used to be like I'm sleeping until 8:30, and that was nice. And then I went home for Memorial Day, and I've got a niece and 2 nephews. All 3 of them are under 4 years old. And so we were up every day by like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this is a nice little vacation I'm on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moose is the same way. He gets up about 6 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to let that sucker out.
Moose is John's kid that he has.
It's a good dog, but good Lord, sometimes.
To the offhanded listener, that's like, I got to let my kid out every morning.
Yeah, pretty much.
Goodness. Dogs are fun, though. I like dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
He's still just a puppy, though. He's got room to improve, for sure.
He has a lot of improving to do. Yeah, that's for sure. He ate my blanket.
Oh.
I know.
Taylor mentioned that.
Yeah, nobody said anything to me, and I picked it up today, and there's like 8 holes in it. I'm like, so mad, dude. I was so upset.
Are you an animal person, Grant?
No. Not really.
That was firm.
Yeah.
So you didn't like when he was jumping on you when you walked in?
I don't mind it. I'm indifferent, I think.
You were crying on the inside.
No, I wouldn't say crying. Like, there's just not a lot of people, they have such a big emotional connection to animals, and I just do not.
That's interesting.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's because the dog that I grew up with. It's just horrible. She's so mean.
She's still alive?
She's still alive. And she used to just be mean. Now she's old. And now she's old and mean. So it's bad.
That is a tough combination.
Yeah. And even things when the family goes on vacation, she's got such bad anxiety, dog anxiety, that she will chew through the person's carpet and bark so much that she loses her voice the whole time.
Holy cow.
And she vomits everywhere and she doesn't she doesn't eat. And I don't know if that's the reason why. She's great sometimes, but yeah, no, it's a lot of commitment for an animal.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
It is.
I definitely don't want one soon. Maybe when I have a family, then yeah, but not soon.
Have you ever had cats before?
No, maybe I'd be a cat guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a big cat guy. I can't. I don't like them.
Again,
I'm not a big fan of cats. But.
I've met cats before, and there's just not a big emotional connection when it's like, oh, this is so cute, this is so fun. I don't get that. I see other people have it. I don't have it though.
Cats aren't loyal. That's my beef with them.
Yeah,
they'll turn on you like that. They don't care.
Maybe like a turtle or something.
I moved a turtle off the road today.
Did
Nice.
Big
Well
one.
done, John.
Yeah, it was right outside here. Yeah, doing my good deed for the week for
Dude,
sure.
one time in high school, because I know snapping turtles exist. I don't know how to identify them, but it was in the middle of the road, and I saw a turtle there, and I don't know how to identify it, so I stopped traffic to go get it, dude. But I got stage fright up there.
you stopped traffic.
Stop.
And to go and
Let
pick
it
it
walk.
up.
Let it walk.
No, not to let it walk. I was gonna go pick it up, but I got so scared, dude. I got so scared, and so it was so embarrassing. And then somebody else had to come out from one of the other cars to move it, and I had to just walk back. Because again, I didn't know if it was a snapping turtle or what, and I got huge stage fright.
Did you stop traffic and then you couldn't pick it up?
Yeah,
Stage fright's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's the story of the year so far in the podcast. That was a gem, man.
yeah, man. That was a tough one.
Like, the guy gets out of his car to go grab the turtle, and you're just kind of like pointing at it. You're like, yeah, there's a turtle here. Can you grab that?
Yeah, pretty much. And I just, once he knew he picked it up, I just started walking back.
Was he just kind of looking at you?
Yeah, he walked up and he didn't seem to be the most proud. It's one of those like dad moments whenever they come up and it's dads, they don't say anything, but you can tell they're very disappointed. So then I just walked back to my car.
Does that haunt you?
I think about it once a week. That's not too bad. I'm kidding.
No, it's not too bad.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's not too bad. But yeah.
You ever had stage fright, John?
Lots of times, yeah. Yeah. In more ways than I like to admit, for sure. Yeah. Just leave that there. Just leave that there, yeah.
I used to have stage fright. It was one of the quirkiest things. I used to have stage fright whenever we would call into a restaurant. So every week we would go get tequilas, which is a Mexican restaurant back in Columbia. We would get tequilas after church Saturday evenings for dinner. And so we would always call in to place our order ahead of time so that it was ready. We could pick it up after church. And so I knew a couple people that worked there because we went to high school together and I could speak Spanish. And so it just kind of felt like the cool, natural thing to do. And so I called them every week. And then one week, just all of a sudden, I just had like a million thoughts racing through my head. And I would start laughing every time I called them. And I'd have to hand the phone off to my mother or someone else to finish it.
That's a tough scene.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, I think I still have them in my favorites.
Tequilas?
I got tequilas with the heart and the flag.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Shout out to Tequilas back in Columbia. Give them a ring. It's 618-281-2188. Give them a ring.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, no. Stage fright's a scary thing, man. And it's so dumb, too. I'm still pretty stage frightened, I guess, when I go and public speak. I still do that a little bit. So I guess I don't have enough experience in it, but yeah.
People fear public speaking more than death. There's a real pull behind that.
I believe it.
Isn't that wild?
I believe it. Yeah.
Should we do our first call in?
Well, I was just one more comment. I mean, death's alone. You just die alone and whatever.
Dying while public speaking. Yeah.
Like public speaking, everybody's there watching you. So I don't know.
Wait, so that's kind of a deep comment to just leave at the top.
Well, I mean,
Public death.
yeah, I guess a
With the
public
top
death.
out.
But the thought about it is, in my mind at least, once you die, nothing, you go to heaven or whatever you believe in, probably not around those people anymore. You got to go home at night after you public speak. I mean,
There you go.
those people can attack you, I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of dumping my thoughts out here. Somebody else speak. Come on. This is a cue.
Get me off the mic. Oh, dude, this is going far better than I could have ever expected this episode to go.
Yeah, we got deep really quick. Holy cow.
Grant, do you have a comment to that, or should I save us all and call Joe?
I don't have a comment.
Yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but kind of made sense in my head for a second. All right, he's calling in. It's ringing. Put it up to the mic.
I will.
Unless he doesn't answer.
Are you ready? All right, give me 1 second. I'll put you up to the mic. All right, and this is the voice of Joseph Holthusen.
What's up, dude?
Oh, wait, can I say it again?
Put it on speaker.
Put it
Oh, yeah, wait. Now go.
What's up, dude?
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Hey, you are the first call into the Real Conversations podcast ever.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
We got to do
That's
some
actually
background
awesome.
on this guy.
Dude, how's that feel, man?
Dude, dude, I feel like a star.
You're honored, dude. Hey, put out your Instagram handle so we can all flood your DMs, everyone watching.
Oh, okay. At Joseph Holthusen, HOLTHUSEN.
That's not your Instagram handle.
Oh, you're right. That's my Twitter.
That's my Twitter.
My Instagram is J_Holthusen.
Okay, we'll link.
HOLTHUSEN.
We'll link you, Joe.
What?
Joe, you're getting married soon.
I am, yeah. In a year and a month, I think.
Joe, we were just having this conversation about stage fright and death.
And turtles.
About
Turtles
what?
in there too.
And turtles.
Stage fright, death, and turtles.
Oh.
We got to ask him the stage
That all
fright
goes
question.
together really well.
Yeah, so we all shared a story of stage fright, and then one of the things I tossed out was that people would rather die than have to do public speaking. There's like an actual poll that came out about that. So where do you fall? Where do you fall on that?
Right now, I think I'd rather die. I don't know. I don't mind. I don't love it, but I don't know. I gave a talk in front of like 230 high schoolers about a month ago, and it wasn't too bad. So I think I'd rather live, I guess.
Okay, Joe. Well, thank you for being the first call.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate it.
All right.
glad I could get a laugh at least.
Yeah. See you, man.
All right, see y'all.
Bye.
Bye, Joe. We got to have some questions lined up for him. Just called him in and said hello.
I didn't know what to expect.
Oh my gosh, dude. Is anyone else sweating?
Yeah, I'm sweating profusely, but
Yeah.
I think that's because of the sauna.
Man, that was a good first call in.
It was a good first call in. Yeah. But
Well, I guess we have questions now from people that they submitted too.
yeah, let's see it.
Well, Grant's also got his own dictionary that he brought of questions.
I wrote down all the questions because I was curious.
Okay, so the first question, I'll pull it from online, then we'll go back to Grant. The first one from online, it says, "Dude, that's going to be so epic. My question is, where can I buy y'all's bathwater?"
That's kind of scary.
I'll protect the person's privacy.
No, to showcase that.
Wow. That's a forward question.
Yeah, that's all right. Let's go to another one.
I take showers, so that's my answer.
Okay, here's another question. How do you guys plan on incorporating AI into your romantic lives? It's the same person, coincidentally, who asked this one.
I don't
Replacing,
know.
practicing.
Practicing?
Practicing.
Maybe test pickup lines on an AI.
Okay.
Train it on how well
bad.
girls react to it.
I guess it's what point of the relationship are you just trying to find a girl, or do you already have a woman secured?
Before I have the woman.
Riz.ai.
AI. Dude, that's kind of a sick domain.
Yeah, test it in different languages.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Business
K
ideas.
Project.
K5.
How dad? John, how are you going to incorporate AI? Because you're in a long-standing relationship right now.
Yeah. Probably for argument prevention / maintenance / just control on that one. That's, I think, all
Control of what?
the argument.
Oh,
Could have it be the mediator.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
That.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Could decide who's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Imagine that in the real world. Imagine that as
Instead of
a
lawyers
judge.
or a judge.
Oh, instead of a judge?
Yeah, you have, instead of having a jury, you train an AI on Constitution and then pass cases and then have that regulate who wins and loses. I don't like the idea, but I'm throwing it out there.
I worry about them slipping in bias still.
Yeah, on all the data it's trained on, I think that would be one issue. And I think that we're here to regulate AI, not AI to regulate us.
Yeah. Can you imagine AI is writing the body of law that we abide by?
Well, I also think there's stagnation in that because it's just spitting out whatever. It's not evolving at all necessarily if it's just spitting out exactly what it's trained on.
But maybe it's something that the judge, the AI gives its reason for what it thinks needs to be, and then the judge can either go with that or it has to say a reason why it thinks that's wrong.
It's an interesting topic for sure.
It could be like a little AI on the judge's shoulder,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, are you sure about that? Consider this.
Yeah, and it can reference certain cases where it was different.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It'd be a wild thought.
I would be hesitant to incorporate AI into my romantic life.
Aren't there, I think there's apps where people are doing that, having a romantic figure that's online, like an avatar.
I've heard.
Oh, they're talking
before.
to like an AI for romantic purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's odd.
It's kind of scary.
It's very weird.
It's not that bad. I'm kidding. Only on weekends I did. No, it's weird.
It's scary to think that you could replace like a romantic relationship with technology or something like that. I feel like you've always seen it in movies and stuff.
Yeah, it helps me with stage fright. So.
Dude, you are rocking this. Yeah, the world's heading in a weird place where it's like you don't have to. I don't know. I'm a kind of a traditional guy, and I like the idea of, you ask a girl out on a date in person the first time, and if you break up with them, you break up with them in person, and like just kind of those traditional things. And the idea of I am dating an AI chatbot just strikes me as odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just into humans. That's all.
I'm just into humans is I guess, yeah, I am just into humans.
No, I can understand that. It's just,
So, Grant, given
But you're not even open to like the idea?
I'm most definitely not. Grant, I feel like you should give them the background of why it's funny that you're making these comments and like the amount that you work with AI and VR and all of that.
Oh, yeah. No, I work with AI quite a bit. I build it and implement it at Coke, and then I work with it quite a bit more in just the project that I'm working on with. It's called Fluency now, but I'm probably changing the name. I don't know what it's going to be called.
Why are you changing the name?
Because there's somebody that has a name that's very similar to that I think I'd get in legal trouble with. I really like the name.
That's tough.
Yeah, I really do. But I haven't thought of a good one besides that. But that one's kind of interesting because it originated from that project that I was working on with the humanoid, where it's able to be people from the past. And then one day I just started speaking Spanish with it. I was like, this can actually kind of be an idea. And so then from there, I built an app where you can talk to these AI avatars from the past, and it can imitate the person that you are talking to. For example, like Pablo Picasso, if you're wanting to learn Spanish, and it matches the level of where you're at and knows exactly what you're learning to be able to give you the right material.
So, when it matches the level, is one of the ways it does that, like if you're providing the input by saying something into the mic or whatever you're using to get it to the AI, like if you say something incorrectly, like if I say to hablo, which would be me saying I speak instead of saying hablas.
Yeah.
Does it pick up on that and realize, hey, he said that incorrectly, but I still know what he was trying to say?
So in that case, then it would give you like a little thing pops up where it says it's a thing where you can understand what you can do to improve the feedback on it. But in understanding where it knows that you're at, you've already gone through the course and the application where it teaches you these certain verbs and these certain words. So it understands exactly what you know, and then understands the current lesson that you're on to be able to give you more of that material too. But yeah, part of it too is just improving in the way that whenever you're speaking, and if there's an error, then being able to understand what your error is.
Yeah, that's like my favorite way to learn. Like anytime I speak with a native Spanish speaker and I say something, I'm like, correct me as soon as you hear the mistake. Because I like to know, like, right then, okay, make a note next time I say that, not to do it like that.
Yeah, not to make a habit. I prefer the same way. But yeah, and so you can see it right away, or you can see it at the end of the conversation too, because some people just prefer to continue on and it breaks their flow. If not.
Yeah, makes sense.
John, how do you prefer to speak Spanish?
In broken Spanish, actually. Yeah, just to piecemeal together, use the words that I know. I don't know. I'm not very good at Spanish, but I have like the building blocks for it for sure. Like I know the essential words.
We'll probably use quite a bit of it, right, in the restaurant industry.
Possibly, yeah.
Wichita actually has a pretty large Hispanic population.
Yeah,
is what I've been told. I haven't. We have a couple of friends that are native Spanish speakers, and they don't. They have a lot of friends in town that are constantly coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is interesting because the restaurant world, you know, you talk about chefs and stuff like that. There are a lot of Hispanic. There's a big Hispanic population in that. So
in hospitality in general.
Yeah, hospitality in general for sure. So.
They're such hard workers too.
Dude,
yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's awesome.
In Mexico, they work 6 days a week.
Holy cow.
That's just standard. I don't know if I like that, but I mean that's just how it is.
That's wild.
Yeah, one of the only countries to do it.
What kind of labor laws do they have? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that everyone that I talked to, they just said it's standard to work 6 days a week in Mexico, and 8-hour shifts for the most part.
That's a lot per week, yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, that's probably about what we're doing, but it's different than doing that hourly.
Yeah, it's different when it's obligated to.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's wild. Okay, Grant, your questions?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a question I've had for quite a while because I always tell people about the podcast, and then I always want to give them the best episode to refer them to right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So which episode do you think is the best for somebody who doesn't know anything about the show to be to understand what the show is about and just a good quality episode that would keep them continuing to come back?
Hey, dude, that's a good question. I'm going to actually look.
And a caveat to that, what's your favorite episode as well?
My favorite episode is any one with you two on it.
Oh, wow.
No, I'll give you a real answer.
I guess not a caveat.
You guys got to fill this dead space.
Dead space filled. I kind of expected you to have a quick answer on this one. This is bold.
I've done like 350 episodes.
It's true.
I would say no. You guys keep going.
Really, he's really thinking.
You stumped him on the first question.
Yeah. So I guess John, maybe a question for you then while he waits.
Mm-hmm.
So has there been any episodes that you've kind of, which one has been the most mind blowing for you?
That's a good question. I like the one with Brian. What's Brian's last name?
Laughlin? Dane's dad? Oh, Brian Mazza.
Yeah. Mazza was good. Wow, all the Brians are good. Holy cow. Laughlin was amazing. I think just given his background and stuff, his mindset and thought process, we were kind of able to uncover that while we were talking. And he's just so outgoing and stuff. It was really cool to kind of get his insight on the workplace and what he does and what his mindset looks like. So I like that one. Brian Mazza is just a fantastic character in general.
I haven't watched the Brian Mosley one. What's he do?
You got it.
I would say he's a runner. He's just like, would you consider him a fitness influencer?
Yeah, you would consider him that. He started off in restaurants just like we did actually, and ended up starting a restaurant group, which is what you would call it if you own a couple of different concepts and then you invest and buy more and stuff like that. So he started a restaurant group, became pretty successful, grew social media at the same time, and then because of his following, just grew his network really, really well. And because of the money that he made from the restaurant group, he started angel investing into different companies. So he started a couple alone, and then started a couple of his own, and then started investing in other companies, and now just does all of that for a living.
Fun. Yeah, I need to watch that one. That sounds pretty good.
He's like really big into health and wellness. So like it's cool to see that. I like whenever people are super sharp business-wise, well-connected, but then they also care about their health and prioritize that.
For sure.
Okay, so my roundabout answer is one of the episodes.
What was the question again? It was
episode to refer to someone that my favorite. So one of my favorites, honestly, was the Sean Whalen Lions Not Sheep episode, number 90, just because he speaks he speaks very fluidly, and he's connected to some very, very successful, cool folks, and he's had a very interesting life. So in some really, maybe controversial, but some really interesting takes too on different things. So that one is one that I enjoy. And then like if we're talking, any episode with you, Grant, is kind of like we usually have conversations that I think encompass the podcast very well.
Oh, nice.
And so you do a good job of staying in that vein. So I'd say Sean Whalen and anyone with Grant. And then there was one with Sal Frisella, who is now the CEO of First Form. He's Andy Frisella's brother. I really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, I bet. So you said number 90, and he had some interesting takes on things. Has there been any person that's changed your mind on things? Like you had an opinion coming into it, and they've really changed your mind?
I'm sure. Well, I kind of thought the first time that I interviewed Sean Whalen that he was a bit of an a-hole, was the take that I had on him just from what I'd seen online. But I was like, one of the things I try and do with the podcast is actually challenge myself, even though it probably seems like I agree with everyone. But I had him on the podcast, and it was a pretty good experience. Even the second time I had him on, I was talking to John, and I was like, yeah, Sean's coming on, and I don't even know if I feel like recording this dude. And then we got done, and I was like all jazzed up. I was like, this was a really, really fun conversation. So
in conversations like that, how do you balance getting them to continually feel comfortable to say their opinions? And do you ever push in your opinions as well without making it seem like a debate necessarily?
I'm trying to get better at that, actually. Like, part of that comes with like knowing where I stand on things and being, if I make a statement, I better be able to back it up and have actually thought about it. Mm-hmm. So in those few areas that I have done that, I want to provide pushback, because just like I might learn something from them, they may learn something from my take. And so I've been trying to actually give more pushback to guests in general. And this is a really good conversation I had with Dane Laughlin, actually, whenever he came on, was that is the only way that people will change how they think or start to take in other perspectives, is by someone giving them pushback, but not getting angry, not calling names, not starting to do other things and have like a divided conversation, but rather just challenging your viewpoint and then allowing you to explain and having like a real conversation without walking away and thinking, man, that guy's just an asshole. Like that's not what needs to happen.
Yeah, the difference between an argument and a conversation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just nice to, and you can kind of tell by the person as well, if they just have general curiosity and they're wanting to learn more, or if they already have this idea formed in their mind and they're not trying to better it or sharpen it. They're there to convince you that you're wrong and they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice because too, you always ask really great questions too, that can challenge the thought, and it can somewhat objectify to what they're thinking, but in a way that's curious, and it just sparks a good conversation from it.
Yeah. It is a fine line. It's something I'm trying to get more comfortable at. And I always appreciate people that are open-minded enough to not just like get offended. I mean, thankfully I've never had a guest just be like not down with it and just leave the episode. Like that's never actually happened. But yet I feel like every time someone has a strong feeling on something, if they bring it up, people just think everything's going to go terrible and all it's going to just break loose and be terrible.
Stage fright, man. That's exactly what it is.
Oh, that's funny.
Is it?
That's exactly what it is. You don't want to feel like you offend somebody else, or, put in a position where you could be vulnerable or something like that, be wrong to somebody that you admire or somebody higher than you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also along those lines is like, if you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. And so you may not have like a thought out viewpoint on every single topic. So you don't need to speak on every topic, but like you better start having a couple different pillars in your life that you're delving into and you actually know how you feel about it. Otherwise, you're just going to follow whatever it is you're hearing from someone else.
Yeah, being able to structure those thoughts too. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious. So one of the things that I did in Florida with Evan that I really, really enjoyed was I went to Jordan Peterson's live event in Florida. His like thing that he's doing is called We Who Wrestle with God. It's like a practical interpretation of the Bible. So I'm not turning this into like a religious conversation, but you also saw Jordan Peterson speak, and I was curious for how that experience was for you.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great time. He does a really great job of keeping you engaged the whole time. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see somebody I imagine he has bullet points that he's kind of looking at for the different topics, but to just be able to speak for 2.5 hours on consistently, lecturers are nuts, dude. To be able to talk just by yourself for that long. And it's funny too, because he brings up interesting points and counterpoints over himself, and he would ask himself a question that you would think from an opposing argument. So I think he does a really great job, and I learned quite a bit in that. And then I had the opportunity to meet him afterwards, which was a really great opportunity. because I was with both my parents, and we just went and got a picture with them, and he asked why we were all there together. And I told him there's actually 2 more of us in the family. But they're not as pleasant, so we left them behind. Yeah, and he said that was a good idea. And so we just had talked for a little bit, but a very genuine person.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've really listened to him quite a bit. And I think if I were, that'd probably be one person that I'd most want to have a full-on conversation with.
Yeah. So Sean Whalen actually had him on his podcast, had him out to one of his events that he hosted and got to interview him on stage for 60 minutes. So that was a large section of what Sean and I talked about was his experience with Jon Peterson. And so Jordan's at one of the top lists for me of someone I'd love to interview just because he's so articulate and he has thought things out so well that it's even if surface level, I don't agree with something he's saying, I know he's going to give me a great argument that I can then dissect later at a different time.
Yeah, and he's not biased towards any of his ideas. He's just there to...
Yeah.
So he's there for the truth, And so he interviews every single type of person to pursue all these different ideas. It's very interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's super cool.
It's fascinating to listen to him speak and just hear all the references he makes it and stuff like that to different religions when he's talking about God and different things like that. It's just he's referencing all these other topics, and it makes total sense. It all circles back to the same thing on why somebody thinks a certain way or why this is why it is, or
Yeah, it makes me kind of. He has this new thing coming out on how to start writing. Makes me want to kind of get into that, but I don't think that I necessarily want to just write paragraphs and paragraphs, but maybe in the form of being able to structure your thoughts, because really a thought is not what you get to at the end. There's a journey of how you have to bring people to see what you see, and I think he does an excellent job of that. And it's something that I want to get better at, because I think I oftentimes come in with the end thought, and I actually need to take the person through the journey that I took, be able to get there, but I oftentimes don't record that either. So it's something that I've been thinking about quite a bit and I want to get into.
Yeah, that's such a struggle. It's one of the disconnects that I've been having. So you say it's like having a viewpoint and you know where you end up on it, but explaining to someone else is difficult. One of the ways that it's challenging for me is I know how I'm feeling, but to explain how I'm feeling, in the midst of building the restaurant, everything we're working on, if someone's like, how are you doing? You typically say good. But if you want to give them a better answer, then you would give them another emotion, but then you'd explain why you're feeling that emotion. I really struggle with articulating why am I feeling that way to someone else. It's well, it's because I've got 87 other things happening at once, but it's even right now, how do you even explain that to someone else?
Yeah, for sure. That's something I'm trying to get better at. One thing that it kind of got me dove on that journey is I read a book on body language, and it was interesting because all that's controlled by your subconscious. And so sometimes I was doing things to it. I guess it either your body language indicates whether you're comfortable or uncomfortable, and then you then have to distinguish why would I be feeling uncomfortable. And so that kind of got me started into that rabbit hole of things of why am I uncomfortable in this certain situation, and then kind of spending time thinking about that too. Something I'm trying to get better at. Yeah,
it's one of those things where you can kind of give yourself a way out because you can trail off on the back end of a sentence, and they have a term for that, but you basically just say and things or you know how it is. And it's if you actually took the practice of not just giving yourself that easy way out, but listing 1, 2, or 3 reasons why that statement or that feeling or whatever it is that you're trying to make is the case, you'd get so much better at it in the long run.
For sure. I find sometimes too that, and I guess for the way that I structure my brain and how...
Wait, you get to choose how you structure your brain?
Sorry,
That's
sadly,
sick.
That's not the case. Sadly, it's not the case. But for the way that I think about things, I always like when there's such a straightforward answer to things. But when you think about things in those sense with emotions and behavior, it's oftentimes not as straightforward. So it's I get really obsessed with things too when I don't necessarily understand it. So that's been very hard for me. But
one of the things I'm also pretty obsessed with is absolute truth. What is, I think it's this versus this is what has been proven. I mean, I think everything for the most part is subject to change in the future, but in the present reality of this moment, what is the actual truth here,
Yeah. It's all of those topics, man. There's so much to think about.
It's a rabbit hole. It'll take you real deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice to have people like Jordan and other people to be able to reference and see it, have your thoughts be on the top of people who have already discovered different things and be able to compare those and what you feel.
Yeah. You build off of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
On the shoulders of giants.
That's right. That's right.
Y'all need another drink?
I'm going to have to grab one, yeah.
I'm okay for now. I've gotten too distracted. Although I don't know how much left.
You can't see it with the...
I'm going to grab one. You need in?
Man, that was the first intermission I've ever done on a podcast. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
We're back.
And resume.
All right. Where do we leave off, boys?
I have another question.
Do it.
Go for it.
Okay, so we talked about Jordan Peterson, and I think that would be an interesting episode. But I guess, who would be on your dream list of people to interview?
This is perfect because I actually have a dream list.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's solid.
I put this together.
Give us like the top 3 to 5.
Of the top 80.
Yeah, right?
Number 1, Grant Johnson.
Oh, man.
Okay. So dream podcast. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've only got 9 on it.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you the 9. Top of the list, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Underneath him, Joe Rogan. Patrick Bet-David. Jocko.
Who's
Patrick Bet-David started... He's originally an immigrant over to the United States, and then...
from what country?
I don't remember. Middle East. I don't remember. Oh, yeah. But he started... first, he was an hourly employee, not really doing too much. And then he started an insurance company, started working crazy hours, got super sharp, was networking. And then he started the Patrick Bet-David podcast. He's become just a pretty big public figure. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times. He is now an owner of the New York Mets.
Oh, wow.
So like from immigrating to the United States with no money to now being part owner of the Yankees. Part owner of the Yankees.
Oh, geez, that's even
awesome,
better than the Mets.
Yeah, he's got such an inspiring story. He's also like Jordan Peterson in the sense that he speaks so fluidly, and he's very well thought out and articulated. He's had Jordan on his podcast a few times, so he's on the list. Andy Frisella, which has already been crossed off, which is sick.
That's awesome.
Courtney DeWalter, do you know who that is?
No.
So she is the best ultramarathon runner ever.
Really?
She's a female.
Wow.
Which is cool because everyone talks about like the gender gap and disparity between different sports. Like look at WNBA versus NBA.
Yeah.
Ultra running is the first sport where you don't see that disparity. And I was talking to, her name's Carolina. She was podcast episode maybe like 50 or so. She did an ultra marathon runner. She did a study on ultra marathon runners and just like a bunch of research around it for her master's degree and maybe her doctorate, but for one of the degrees. And apparently like in the long run, like the physical long run, as distance increases, the gap between men and women for performance significantly decreases, which
That's
is
awesome.
Wild. So yeah, that would be a really fun one. Jesse Itzler.
No, that one sounds real familiar, but doesn't.
Do you know Jesse?
I know Jesse. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jesse is just a hustler. I don't think he went to college, but he's like, he had a pool washing company, just like a whole bunch of different businesses that didn't work out. And then he wrote the Go Knicks Go song for the New York Knicks. He was like a self-proclaimed rapper and then made a bunch of money off the royalties on that. Knows Run DMC, knows 50 Cent, like started a private jet company. He's now married to Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, and he's part owner of the Atlanta Hawks. And he's got an ultramarathon like running company called All Day Running Company, and he's just like a super cool, well-rounded guy.
That's awesome.
He's also been on Joe Rogan a few times.
Was it NetJets? Was that what he was?
I think he was leasing from NetJets. His company was...
I thought it was NetJets.
It may have been NetJets, but either way, yep. Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban's a
Valid.
good one.
Mark Cuban. And then Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised Cam Hanes isn't on that list.
I mean, he would be a blast. How do I say this respectfully? I feel like the guys I listed are in a different league than Cam Hanes.
That's fair.
But I could also see an argument for him being in the same league.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Also, shout out to Peter Nelson, the founder of Sisu Sauna, who I've had in the podcast a few times. He went on Cam Hanes' podcast out in Oregon because Cam Hanes bought one of his saunas. Like this guy he's in Ohio, started a sauna company, not very well known at all. And now I think it was Tim McGraw. We got Nick Bear. We've got Cameron Haynes. Like a whole bunch of super well-known folks have bought his saunas. And he flew out there and installed it for Cam Hanes. And then he did Cam Hanes' segment called Lift, Run, Shoot, where you go run up Mount Pisgah, you shoot a bow and arrow, do whatever else you go on the podcast. Like he went out there and just connected with Cam.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
And he's young. He's like 29, 30.
Yeah.
I tried to run Mount Pisgah. No joke, man.
It's legit.
It's only like, I think it's like 2.5 or 3 miles. but it's like straight up, and it's awful. I couldn't run it. I couldn't run the whole thing. So I don't know how they do it with, what is it, like a 70-pound rock. They just, they lug around a 70-pound rock to the top of this thing.
It's wild.
Stupid.
His kids are absolute savages too. Do you know Cameron Haynes in general? Have you heard of him?
No.
Okay. He worked like a traditional 9 to 5, but his thing is that he's a bow hunter. And so he goes hunting every season, and he wants to be what's known as the ultimate predator. So what he does is he runs on average like a half marathon to a marathon every single day. He lifts, he runs, he shoots every day, and he did that while working a 9 to 5. And he would write and be an editor for bow hunting magazines while he was working like manual labor for the city that he was in, like Eugene, Oregon, small city in Oregon.
Yeah.
And he was doing that for years and years. And then Under Armour found out about him whenever they launched their hunting segment. And so they sponsored Cam Haynes, and he started making just a little bit of money from that. And then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was reading an article that Cam had either wrote or was featured in and shouted him out on Instagram. Cam gained like 60,000 followers overnight, started growing a social media because every day his saying is keep hammering. He just continued. Yeah. He was consistent in doing these things. And it's now been like 12 or 20 or some ridiculous amount of years that he has not gone out on a hunt and killed something. Like his kill rate is incredible, and he does it with a bow and arrow, which is a crazy way to kill an animal. And he's become super successful, goes on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was able to retire. He is like late 50s, so it is about the time to retire, but he was able to do that. And he's a badass. He's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The fascinating thing about him is he goes out and hunts like in the Oregon backcountry, like whatever. He hikes in 12 miles, 14 miles, whatever it is. Doesn't bring a gun with him. Only a bow and arrow.
That's
so I know
awesome.
He was on a grizzly bear hunt one time, and he shot this grizzly with an arrow, and you have to go retrieve the bear, and the bear wasn't dead yet.
Oh my goodness.
And
dude.
Thank God one of the cameramen or one of the backcountry guys he was with had a gun, because it came after him after that and would have been over. And he was not happy that they shot the bear with a gun.
Really?
Yeah.
The bear was charging them. Like imagine a bear running at you full speed. Yeah, it was Roy who shot the bear. His best friend, Cam's best friend, who tragically passed on a hunting trip subsequently after that.
Dang.
Just crazy story. He's got a book out that I really like.
Yeah.
So I know you like to read.
Yeah.
Who would you guys add to that list that I didn't mention?
You go first, Grant. It's a good list. It's a comprehensive list for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy from Oculus. So the guy.
Oh yeah.
He started Oculus, sold it to Facebook, and then got fired from Facebook, and then he started a military company where they do a whole bunch of very neat military weapons that are like drones, and then also things to prevent drones. There's a whole bunch of. It's the coolest thing ever, and I'm doing a horrible job of describing it. But
do you have a name? What's his name?
I can look it up. I did pretty bad with. It's not a standard name. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll add him to the list.
One that might be controversial that's on my end. Sam Altman.
Oh yeah, that would be
OpenAI.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting podcast for sure. He's got a lot of controversy come out in the past couple months.
Yeah. He, like being fired for a week and then reinstated.
Yeah.
Yeah, Palmer Luckey is his name.
Can you spell Murlocky?
Palmer.
Oh, Palmer.
Yeah.
Palmer and then what?
Luckey. Luckey.
Luckey.
What a cool last name.
OC. Okay.
What about people from history? If you could have people from history on the podcast, who would it be?
Oh, I would have Henry Ford,
Valid.
J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, Cornelius Vanderbilt, Abraham Lincoln, Pocahontas.
Pocahontas is a solid one. Lewis, Clark, the whole gang.
Who else? Who am I missing, boys?
George Washington, Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Alexander the Great would be, well, assuming they all speak English, but.
Yeah. Jimmy Buffett. I mean, I'm just going to put that one out there.
Juice WRLD.
Be a fun podcast.
Tupac, Biggie.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You got to get
Kobe.
Willie. You got to get Willie Nelson before
he goes.
Yeah, before he goes.
John and I saw Willie Nelson in concert 2 years ago.
Right?
During Riverfest, yeah. It was a great time.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah. That's the first time I ever went to Bump House, too.
Oh, yeah. It was a good time.
What was his experience?
All right, next up.
Okay.
I feel like, Grant, you're the host now. I'm moving you to full-on host here.
Oh, well, that would be a fun one. Whenever you don't have an episode, I have questions for you.
Okay.
So how do you measure the success of the podcast going beyond just watch time and subscribers and views and that type of stuff? Is there a way that you measure it besides that?
One of them is quality. Like, how do I feel about who I'm having on? There's some weeks where it's like I don't have anyone. It's like, well, just reach out to this person and have them on for the 18th time, or reach out to this person and it may not be as high quality as what I would like to have. So it's kind of like an internal quality control that I try and keep track of.
Yeah.
Like, cause the easy way out is if I don't have an episode, then myself, I could just do a life update every week and just make it like a vlog almost on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I have no guests. I'm doing no effort because it takes a lot of time to reach out to people and to get them on the podcast. Cause it's a mix of Wichita folks, St. Louis folks, and then just people I find via the internet and get it coordinated through there. So it'd be significantly easier for me to just come on every week and tell you what happened with the restaurant. But I try and do that sparingly because I think listeners knowing more about me, the host, hopefully helps them connect and have a better relationship with me as I bring on guests and know some more background about me in general. So that's quality is one of them.
And then you grow that quality by growing the people who watch it, which means that it extends your network, and then it's easier to find better people and the quality rises.
Yeah, it's all a rolling ball, and it's based upon the social contract. If I do something for you that you perceive to be valuable, then you feel obligated to do something for me. And so the social contract with a podcast, for example, would be if I'm having a quality conversation, I bring on a guest that you enjoy, then the expectation is that you share that episode with a friend or someone else who you think would enjoy it. And then, it's exponential growth from there, because if one person shares it with 2 and 2 people share it with 4, then it just goes up from there.
Yeah. And it's not even that it's like I feel obligated because you did a great podcast, but it's like I want to send this to my friend because I think my friend will enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's just spreading it that way too.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Mr. Beast's concept too, where it just all revolves around making better content.
Yeah.
And the best content you can make with the budget that you have means a bigger budget that you'll have in the next one, and then so on, and it's just rolling. He
reinvests everything back into Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like, he'll spend $4 million on an episode and only have 3 in the bank, and it's $1 million sponsorship. So he'll do 4 total $1 million on an episode, but the sponsorship doesn't come through till the end of the episode. So he'll go to a bank and take out a loan for $1 million just to cover the episode. And then he's hoping with spending $4 million on an episode that he's going to make at least $4 million in revenue from that episode, from watch time and YouTube and all of that partner program. And so like his model is crazy, but it's worked out for him.
Bets all the time.
Yes.
That's nuts.
It is wild. Pertaining directly to this, I posted on my Instagram today, and I know you saw it.
Yeah, the Charles Koch.
Yeah. I'm reading the Charles Koch book right now about Koch Industries, which is I think it's the second or third largest private company in the world now at this point. But at the time it was the largest. And I'm reading his book, and I highlighted this and posted it today. He wrote, This vision also required that the company reinvest most of its earnings. Thus, shareholders had to be willing to forego larger dividends in the short term to enable the growth that would lead to much greater dividends in the long term. Embracing the vision both required trust and a low time preference. And so it's the sacrifice of the present for the future is basically what he is describing as like how Koch Industries became so successful. And that's something that I completely vibe with. Mm-hmm. I love that.
It's crazy to ask your investors to not take we're not going to pay you for a while because we have to reinvest it into, that's bold.
But it's compound interest, man.
Yeah.
And if you guys listen to the podcast, I'm obsessed with momentum and compound interest. Like that's how you do it, man. That's cool.
Especially at the beginning too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Koch is such a well-run company.
Yeah. I'm curious, as I'm reading this book, I'm getting to know more about where you work, Grant. No, I'm not going to ask that question. That would be a bad question to ask on a podcast. What do you...
Trying to find a way to word it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to word it. Like, do you feel like Coke is still nimble and moves quickly, and because the book that I'm reading at the time, it was like 2017. And I mean, with the amount they grow every year, the distance between 2017 and 2024 is a lot of time and a lot of money. Like, do you still feel like they move that same way?
I don't know if you ever read Creativity Inc. by Pixar. It's the book about Pixar, but it's essentially saying that it hires people because they think they're talented and they want them to make decisions at the end of the day. A lot of times at other companies, I think that you have to elevate decisions to your superior and to their superior, but really you want to hire talented people who are the closest to the problem in order to make the best decision possible because they have all the information necessary to make it. And I think Coke does an excellent job of that. And it allows for people to be entrepreneurs inside of the company.
Right.
So through that, I think they do a really excellent job. But also I think that it's hard to avoid just with the scale. It's got 150,000 employees worldwide. So there's certain things like IT maybe that'll take a couple of days to do that. But that's all kind of just growing pains. Yep. I don't think that's necessarily avoidable at the moment.
Yeah. So reading the book yesterday, along that same vein of what you're saying, hiring talent people, they're going to make a difference for the company. I was reading the book, and Charles Koch talks about, he realized early on Coke had to be a meritocracy in order for it to be successful. I was like, well, what's a meritocracy? So I looked it up. And a meritocracy is the idea that people are hired and brought on because of what they can bring to the job itself. So like you would measure revenue per employee in a meritocracy. Whereas like a nonprofit, no offense to nonprofits, would just hire like an admin staff to kind of run things. And it's like, we're going to run a $4 million a year nonprofit. We're going to, our admin expenses are probably $3 million. So 75%, 25% of that's getting donated. So that's like the counterexample to what a meritocracy would be. And it was like, that's an interesting concept. I hadn't thought of it like on a marginal per individual basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting too. And my time at Coke has been so great so far. And it's been very helpful in the part of starting my own app, for example. And as I'm starting to bring people on, it's not the extension of my own ideas that I'm wanting them to just do the grunt work of. I want them to have their own ideas. And I'm hiring people that are much better than me at certain things to be able to make better decisions than I could have. And so it's fun when it's a small group and it's a startup type thing. And it's never the case of, hey, Grant, what do you want to do on this? Or what do you think I should do on this? And I'd be happy to give my input and insights on it. But it's at the end of the day, it's like you're hired to make this decision,
It's your job. Yeah. That's cool.
Sure. And kind of to back on that or to add on that a little bit, you and I are hiring a general manager and a kitchen manager.
Dude, how weird is that?
Well, I'm just thinking on that front, it's like we want to hire somebody that's not going to come to us and be like, every little small thing, like, hey, what do I do here? What do I do this or that? We're hiring you because you know more than we do, and you're going to know what to do in that situation. And, at some point we'd like to step out of the restaurant business full time, like day to day, and have those people make those decisions for us because they know what's going on and they can make the best decision possible.
Yeah. What do you look in when you're looking for people that are coming into those positions? Obviously, besides kind of the kitchen type stuff.
Yeah. It is a little bit of obviously you're looking for somebody that has some experience in that area and has good rapport. I mean, we like to look at the references and really try to dig deep on how do people perceive them or how to pass roles, how do they treat employees, like things like that. We want to try to create a good culture. But it is hard because education isn't necessarily the forefront of knowledge in this space. It's like experience and work experience is really kind of paramount in that. So
yeah, for me, I agree. You got to have that baseline competency. But what I think is going to be a good indicator for me is John and I are working very hard to set up very attractive incentive programs, which we met with the co-founder of Freddy's. They scaled to like 400 locations, very successful. And this is one of the conversations we had with him was around incentives and properly incentivizing your employees. And to me, a candidate that would be great for the job is someone who looks at the opportunity we're going to give them, because you're going to have your baseline salary. And there's different ways of cutting that apple, but one of the ways you can do it is you can have a high baseline salary and low incentives. So you're guaranteed to make this much, but like if you perform really well and the store does really well, then you're going to make like just a little bit above that. What I want to see is someone who says, give me a lower baseline salary, but I want all the upside. Like you guys are just opening up. I'm competent. I know that I can do this. I have faith and trust in myself. I want to get rewarded on the back end. And so whether that's revenue sharing or that's an incentive program other than that we set up, like I want someone that comes in and says, I'm not worried about having a low salary on the one end. I want to share in this growth with you, because that tells me they're forward minded and they realize that we're not just doing one location, we're doing multiple restaurants, and they want to play the long game with us. I want someone who plays the long game with us. Exactly.
When you can align your motivations with people, man, it's nuts. Because it's completely different, like things that we're building too right now, but it's exactly the same concept. Because I was looking at these people and I had to look at what they've done in the past, not in what they've done in like they're just kind of standard jobs, but what their motivation is, and seeing how passionate they could be about it and how much they could buy into the project. And I mean, obviously the interview and everything is important as well, but what's even more credible is just what they've done in the past. Yeah. These personal projects that they've had, and the fact that they're just wanting to pursue further technology, or they're wanting to further their language. I mean, that's a very powerful why behind it.
They're self-motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's what all three of us have in common that kind of draws us together as well, is that we're all self-motivated. I mean, it's a Saturday, we're drinking and talking. That's what most people do. The fact that it's a podcast makes it a little bit different, but like I was at the office this morning. You've been in the gym. Without a doubt, you've been working on stuff as well. Like we're all out there continually trying to get better, and we're so young, and that's such a cool thing to see.
Yeah. And it's hard to find.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is.
That is one of the things I think about. And it's like, we have very few friends that are our age, at least John and I specifically. Like we have probably 5 other friends in Wichita that are our actual age. A lot of our friends are older that have been successful, or that are also kind of aiming upwards like that. It is. And I know there's other people like that, like people in Wichita that listen to this podcast. If you listen to this podcast, you're probably trying to do something that's pretty incredible. All right.
Obviously.
I mean, that's just what the show's about, right? It's about aiming upwards and trying to go for something.
Yeah.
And so it is harder to come across, but that's one of the cool things about having a podcast like this is I hope at least that's the audience that is starting to form around this. And we can all get together one day, do a meetup or something, but we can all build off each other in the long run.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's so neat. And I'm in the same position because most of my friends right now, they're out in their different colleges and they just get plastered every single night. And then they come home and they just tell me the same story, and it's so boring every single time. And I tell them that every time, but they still tell it.
Bro, I got so drunk and I almost talked to this girl, dude. I was so close to doing it.
Stage fright.
I was so close.
No, it's so annoying to hear. And it's just like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And this time, it's such an influential time too, right, especially when you recognize what the rest of the people in your age group are doing at this point in their lives too. To be able to dedicate what you're doing to actually have a why behind it, other than just instant pleasure and instant gratification. Oh man, it gives you such a leg up in the long run.
Yeah.
It's much more fulfilling as well.
Yeah. To draw a tangential example to that, using like actual numbers, the principle here is accurate. I can't remember what the exact numbers are, but you can start a Roth IRA, which is an investment account, when you're 18 years old. And so the idea is that, you don't touch that until you retire, and then you have a lump sum of money because it's compounded. That's like the baseline principle. If you start a Roth IRA when you're 18 years old, and let's say you put in $500 to $1,000 a year annually until you're 25 years old, because of the time value of money and the way things work out, if you were to do like that lower sum of money just for that 7-year period, when you go to retire, you'll be a millionaire. But if you don't start your Roth IRA until you're 25 and you go to retire at 59 and a half years old, you actually end up with just about the same, if not a little less money. Whereas you could have just done it for 7 and then stopped and been a millionaire. But if you start at 25, you're playing catch up. And so I feel like that's what we're all trying to do right now, is get out ahead of the curve, so that in the long run, we're in a position where things actually work out and are perhaps a little bit easier because of all the sacrifices we made now.
And it's interesting to think about too, just in the terms of knowledge. Because if you start learning, like passionately learning when you're 18, rather than just taking the classes and looking to pass a class, and then you can go out and party and all everything with that, with that, nothing against that. But you work hard and then you make these connections and these people that you learn so much from, and you learn so much, and then you get this next opportunity of something that you're doing at your next job or your position, and then you learn so much from that, and you move on. But it all starts from starting off like motivated at the start, being able to then be ahead of everybody else in your group. Yeah. It's
separation season, boys.
That's right. But I guess how often do you guys think about that? Because a lot of times I more just think about, like, I love what I do, and I oftentimes when people are asking like, what's your goal or whatever, it's like I have a lot of micro ambitions that I'm pursuing right now that I think will really make a positive impact for the world. But it's never just been like, I want to be a billionaire, or I want to be ahead of everybody else in my group, or I want this status. It's always been for the furtherment of like society, I guess. Is it similar for you guys, or?
I wouldn't say it's super similar for me. I like to win. I'm a very competitive person.
Yeah.
And so if I do something, maybe to a fault sometimes, I'm like, I want to just beat everybody else. You know, I don't know what that looks like. Sometimes it's monetarily, sometimes it's just beating them in a competition or something. But yeah, for me, I feel like you have like a Elon Musk mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to get to Mars because it's going to better, you know, our whole world or something like that. And like, I guess maybe that's not in my wheelhouse at this point.
Yeah.
No, I'm with John this one. Grant, you're a little bit different than us because you really are that pure curiosity. How can I make the world a better place? And that's super admirable. For me personally, I'm incredibly competitive. And so A, I want to win. B, I do have a little bit of that curiosity, but also like the grandiose vision for me is like, I want to be in a position where I'm not trying to swim upstream. Like when people are on their back having to fight, that really frustrates me. And so I view it as my responsibility to get to a position as quickly as possible to where I can do the things I want to do. But more importantly, I can support the things that matter to me. And so in the long run, it's like, it would be sick. Like I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to be able to take care of generations ahead of me. If I grew up with someone, went to high school with them, I knew they were a hard worker, and they're in a position in life where it's like life kind of came after them and it sucks. I want to be able to go to them and say, hey, I've got an opportunity for you. I know who you are at your core. You've been taking some rough uppercuts. Come with me. Let's do something together. Like I want to be able to be that person that can impact other people. And so, I mean, that's one of the things I like about the podcast. The podcast for me, I don't monetize it. I ran ads once for like 3 months back 4 years ago. I didn't like the feeling of that. So what I like about the podcast is that like I feel like it is that impact. We're sharing knowledge for free with people that I work really hard to get on the podcast, and hopefully it's quality. So that's kind of the legacy play for me. But business is just like competitive, but then also I don't want to be in that position where I want to be in a better position at least.
No, but it's interesting because even though like our motivations may differ, it's still the same process, or it's very similar. Like if you wanted to change the world, and a lot of times like helping people get a step off of where they're at and when they're very, very low with donations and everything is absolutely phenomenal. But in order to make a life and sustain it, you really need to be able to get them into like the economy and getting them into jobs and then working their way up and providing them new opportunities. So it's interesting based on where our motivations lie, but it's still such a similar path.
Yeah, it is.
It's a weird thing because I've been documenting pretty much my whole journey through podcasting and then the YouTube channel on and off and then posting on Instagram and stuff. And so it's like I'm taking a gamble because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Like none of us know what's going to happen in the future. But so far, my life since 16 is pretty much online. And that's like a really vulnerable position to be in. It's quite odd.
Yeah. Well, and I know Dane said it when he was on the podcast, and it's a saying at Coke, but you got to play in the street to get hit by the luck truck.
Dude, we love that. We love that statement.
Yeah.
We've started using that pretty often.
Yeah. And I think about it quite a bit. It's not that you know necessarily exactly what's going to happen, but you have to sow your seeds out there in order to have a couple that may bear fruits.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
That is the cool thing about life though. Like if everything was predictable, life would suck. Like if we were on Paradise Island, and this is one of Jon Peterson's ideas, if we were on Paradise Island, we would create chaos ourselves just so that we had something that wasn't stable and that we could have to adapt to. Like we thrive in that environment where we're making progress. And so the fact that I know that like the hours I'm putting in now doesn't mean I'm going to be successful is super frustrating, but it also, on the offhand that success ever does come, it would make it exponentially more rewarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if there was no challenge, we'd just be full-grown babies, you know?
Facts.
That's right. There'd be no development at all. So I always like to think about, in 30 years or 40 years, whatever, we're going to be sitting at the same table somehow, and it's going to be old and
this isn't even our table, dude. That's what cracks me up.
We're going to somehow acquire this table back. We're going to be talking about how, we were quote unquote struggling back in the day, and, we were working all these hours for this certain goal, and we probably weren't successful off of that goal. It was some other thing that we ended up doing or something like that. And it's just, that's what I always think about. I'm like, yeah, maybe it's going to suck tomorrow or on Monday when I have to get to work and work 10 hours or 8 hours or whatever. And once the restaurant starts, it's going to suck for a little bit. But those are the days that you talk about, really relive.
Yeah,
when you get old and successful. So
yeah, shout out to Rachel. I mean, like John and I are too cheap. Like we're all in on the things we're all in on. We're too cheap to buy a dining room table. So we borrowed this from Rob's wife, Rachel.
Nice.
And we have to give it back at some point. So we will very well maybe not have a kitchen table here in a minute.
Oh, there you go.
I don't need a kitchen table.
That's right, man.
We got the bar.
That's right.
We got the bar. So awesome.
Grant, what else you got, man? Is that 2 pages of questions you had?
Yeah. Okay, this is my last good question that I have. Are there any common misconceptions with podcasting?
Like about the industry?
I would say about having your own podcast, where people, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's more than just an hour-long conversation. There's other things associated with that. But how hard it is to, I guess, keep a conversation flowing, to continue to get interesting guests, to keep it up to your standards.
It's incredibly hard, man. I mean, first of all, talk about social cues. Like that's tough. And then if you're doing like a virtual interview, that's even tougher, trying to pick up on what that other person's thinking, what they're doing. Like that's tough. But then actually getting the guest is one of the hardest parts. And because I do have like that quality control that I try and do, I try and have my guests meet a certain standard. You run into it's cyclical too. Like I have found most things in life are cyclical. They come and they go, but they usually follow a pattern. And so right now with the podcast, like full transparency, I'm having a tough time getting guests on the show. And it's not because like people are saying no, it's because you have to send out, if you send out 1,000 messages, you'll get 50 guests, like it's just a law of numbers. So right now I'm in one of those stretches where it's like, I've sent out a lot of messages. I'm talking to a few people, but like actually getting the dates to line up and get them to come on the show. I know I'll have guests a month from now because we're scheduling them a month out, but getting guests for next week and the week after that is extremely difficult and stressful. And so I know I'll have episodes for the coming weeks, but that is probably one of the misconceptions is how hard it is to get a quality guest on and align your schedules, make everything match up.
Yeah, I bet.
Like there's been guests where I talked to them for over a year. Like SB Moen came on and he kind of laughed whenever he first started the conversation because he was like, dude, we've been talking for like 6 months about this. And I was like, you're not even my longest conversation. Like it took me over a year to get the co-founder of Netflix on.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just a level of consistency and discipline that is very tiring.
I bet.
At times.
Yeah.
So.
Can I also add one thing? How do you view the saturation of the podcast market? Is that something that you view as like, the barrier to entry to start a podcast is pretty low? I mean, you started from just having a computer and a Yeti mic and whatever else, and it was pretty bare bones, and you made it to here. Like, what do you think separates you from the barrier to entry people, or is that not a worry for you?
No, I don't worry about it. I feel like I stay in my own lane because I'm playing the long game. Like I'm very bullish on the future. There's a stat out there. I think it's like 75-80% of podcasts stop after the first 10 episodes. Like if you're doing an episode a week, that's 2.5 months. And then you're just never podcasting again. And that's a high percentage of podcasts. So I'm only competing against 25% of podcasts. And I know I'm not as big as the other ones are, but if you look at time and how an exponential curve works, if you do like a internal rate of return, basically it's like saying I put $1,000 into the company. So year one, $1,000 in, that's represented as a negative. And then the next year I put in $1,000 represented as a negative in year 2. And then the third year I actually made $1,000. So I'm still negative 1,000. And then the third year I made $2,000. So I'm plus 1,000. So like things slowly start to go. And as long as your numbers are slowly increasing, then you're still in line to hit an exponential curve, which would then take you up the ladder and the rankings and everything else. So, I haven't hit my exponential curve yet, but I'm bullish on the long run that as long as I am consistent, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. At some point, things will work out in a way that I probably can't even imagine right now.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Plus, who else started a podcast when they were 17 years old or whatever? And like, even if this never gets to the millions of people that Joe Rogan gets to, that's fine. It's kind of cool that like I can go back and listen to my younger self, and other people can go back and kind of learn who I was and see how I've changed over the years. It's like, it's weird because it's online, but it's also kind of cool sometimes to go back and to appreciate how much things have changed and how far you've come.
Yeah. The people that you touched too.
And it's nice to record it in the emotions that you were having in that moment.
Yeah.
Too. I started doing something similar, and I call it dad lore because you know how dads just have those crazy stories they can pull out of their pocket. I started recording that like after it happened, even with ideas of what fluency will happen, or even with the trip that I had to Europe recently. I record that, and I have different videos that I have recorded from the trip as well, but it's more just me talking over it for 30 minutes or so. And it's nice too, because I'm sure I'm going to look back at those one day and be nice to see how exactly it was in that moment.
Are you recording on your phone?
No, I have a camera.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you started actually doing that?
Yeah, well, I had a camera beforehand because I had a YouTube channel in middle school.
Bring that back.
No, dude, those videos are privated.
We'll do collabs.
So we need to pull those out of the woodworks here.
Yeah, but I just have the videos on private right now, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy them one day.
That's cool, because last episode you talked about actually wanting to sit in front of a camera and do something similar to that.
Yeah, it inspired me to do it.
So the fact you're doing that's really neat.
Yeah, it's fun. It takes a little bit to edit it, but
yeah, dude, I really like journaling on things, like recording things, whether it is a journal, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a video, whatever. I really think that's going to be cool. Even if you don't share it with your kids, to go back and just remind yourself of how you were, especially if you start early enough and, they're 16 and you can go back to your 16-year-old self and you read a passage from a random day at 16 and you're like, ooh, I got to ease up on my kids.
Yeah, for sure.
That perspective's wild, man. Mm-hmm. So I forgot, actually, Evan, my cousin, couldn't call into the podcast because he's out fighting wild firefighters. Oh my gosh!
Wow, he's fighting the firefighters. Holy cow!
He's a wildland firefighter. Dude, that's such a word twist. But he sent me a voice memo to play in place of him calling in. So I haven't heard this yet, but here it is.
Hey guys, it's Evan O'Connor, longtime listener of the Real Conversations podcast. Absolutely love this show. Every Monday morning getting a fresh episode, getting some insights is pretty awesome. I've been on the show a handful of times, probably 7, but I still think my favorite episode isn't even my own. It would be number 89, Ryan Smith. If you guys are looking for a good one, I would recommend that. But yeah, love this show, and I am super excited to see where it goes. I say frio, primo.
I say frio, primo. Dude, what a good cousin.
He's a good guy for sure. He's out there doing the Lord's work.
Oh, yes, he is. That's cool. That's cool, Evan. Thank you for doing that, man. What did you guys think of that? Did you like his...
That was awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice of him to call in on that. Yeah.
And he even came with like the show rec. Like you asked earlier, what's a good one? Evan came ready. Did you text him or something?
No, I didn't. A thought just came into my head. So
I hate when that happens.
I went to Ireland, and
when did you go to Ireland?
The Europe trip that I had a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I learned all about the potato famine because there was this pirate ship in the middle of this river down Dublin, and I thought about it because your last name, so this is what got me there. And so I was so pumped to go on this pirate ship because it was massive, and I was so excited to ride through all of Dublin on it. But I got on there, dude, and it was just a 2-hour segment over the potato famine. And dude, I was really disappointed, but wow, that's crazy stuff, dude.
Fascinating, right?
Crazy stuff. Yeah, dude, because there was 5 million people. I think it happened in 1840, and there's 5 million people in Ireland, and all lived off of potatoes. And then this disease came in and took out all the potatoes. And actually, but they were built. They also had these 4 other crops that England ruled over Ireland at the time, and they
screw England.
Yeah, dude. And they would sell all of this stuff that they grew in Ireland, and this would be enough to feed all of Ireland if they had the chance to. But England saw it as an act of God, and God wanted to kill all the Irish to do it. And
that's a bold take.
Yeah. So the Irish then just almost all of them died. I think it went down to 1 million because 2 million fled to the U.S. or to America, and 2 million of them died.
Yeah.
And so I went on one of the boats that they had on there. So it wasn't a pirate ship, but I did learn about the potato famine. So
that's wild. So when I was in Florida, I went to the Kennedy Space Center out. Is that Orlando? Do you remember exactly where that was?
East of Orlando.
Yeah, it was over by the coast. But I went there and I thought I was going to learn about rockets, and I learned a little bit about rockets. But eventually, I ended up somehow in an IMAX theater, like at the actual Kennedy Space Station, watching a video that Liam Neeson narrated about the history of Ireland. And to this day, I can't figure out how it pertained to rockets at all. But yeah, it covered the potato famine, and all of that is absolutely wild.
Wild.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
If you had to go back and like you were, what is your heritage?
German.
You're German?
I'm all German pretty much.
That's not good.
But a little bit Irish.
Yeah, that's not good, man. Okay.
Were you about to ask some question or what?
Well, just historically, nonetheless, if you were to immigrate to the United States, like let's say it's the early 1800s and you're still Grant Johnson, what do you think? Like, would you have been a shoemaker? Like, you come and open up an accounting shop? Like, what do you think historical Grant Johnson would have done? AI is not even a thing. You don't have a computer, dude.
Yeah, but the electricity was starting to become a thing, so that would have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe it would have been a gold miner, maybe a shovel seller for the gold mines. Corbin, my little brother told me that the other day. The guy who sold all the shovels to the people who went out to go dig for gold, he actually became much more rich than almost all of them.
That's basically the casino with the gambler relationship.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so maybe a shovel seller. Final answer.
Okay. John?
I think I'd be a farmer.
I
think I'd go west, grab some land, and I don't know.
Which is funny because you and I have talked, and in the long run, you're like, it'd be kind of fun to go farm.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that hasn't changed. So John, historical John versus current John, it's the exact same John.
Hey, just in a different sense, for sure. Yeah. It's a dangerous table.
I'm worried I'm going to break it or something. It's one of those with like the flaps on it. So you put a block underneath it that locks it in place to hold it up.
Oh.
So just resting the blocks underneath it. I probably would have gone to Finland and and gotten into saunas over there.
Oh.
Yeah. Been like a sauna dealer or something.
Yeah, Finland's pretty interesting.
What's interesting about Finland?
It's so close to Russia. I was looking at the map the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude, it borders Russia.
Why is that interesting?
Because I just assume Finland being so Western, but it borders Russia. And
it is much different than Russia.
Yeah.
Like a lot different. They're I think they're very like calm and polite over there.
Yeah. I don't know much about them, to be honest. But I did know the sauna thing. They do love their saunas.
They do love their saunas.
Yeah.
It's cold in Finland too, right?
Yeah.
Very cold. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's why saunas are clutch.
Ice baths and saunas. They probably just jumped in a lake. But
When's the last time you took an ice bath?
During the winter, I took a lot because it was cold outside and we'd break the ice to do it. But I haven't taken one recently.
It's been since winter?
Well, I take cold showers, but ice racks up, dude.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah. So I'm looking at just getting an ice machine sometime, but I haven't yet made that purchase. But since then, I think yesterday I took a cold shower. So that's been somewhat regular for me. But yeah, dude, ice just accumulates. So I kind of stopped after it got warm.
It's probably like $8-10 if you want to do like a good ice bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
The problem is too, it's not just the ice either. If you're filling up 100 gallons every other day or something like that, the water, I mean, it's 1,000 gallons a week or something,
And I can confirm you don't want to just let the water sit in there too much. No. John and I did that and it got pretty moldy.
Yeah.
You need to have like a seal tight cover if you're going to do that.
Well, and then in the summer, now the water's 85 degrees instead of 70 degrees. It comes out of the faucet, and now you got to use more ice.
Yeah.
Equilibrium. Wild thing.
Yeah, it's wild for sure.
Yeah, I let my water sit for a while, maybe like 1 week, 2 weeks. But yeah,
there's a couple times back at Jerome's house whenever we were doing Friday 5 and you get in the ice bath and I was like, we should clean this out beforehand.
Yeah. No, for sure. It got really bad.
Some good times, man.
Grant, if you couldn't do what you're currently doing now, like career-wise, when you were a kid, what did you want to be?
It depends at certain points. I was a baseball player, and then I was a YouTuber and a basketball player. And then I didn't have much going on in high school. And then high school came, junior year, and then I started doing what I do now. But if I didn't do what I do now, what would I do? I would really enjoy physical therapy. I think it's so fascinating to learn about the human body. And then to just have people come in all broken and just in the process of putting them through exercises and putting their body in the right position to make what needs to happen. Yeah. So interesting. So that would probably be what I used to want to do that.
That's kinesiology?
I'm not that, so I don't know.
Okay. I think it's the
study of the body.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. That dude, I've been to a lot of physical therapy myself, so I picked up a couple of things. I would love to have all of that knowledge. Like whenever you go in there and they're doing an initial evaluation and they're twisting your leg all these different directions, they're going, and they're pushing you this way, and they're just like kind of listening and they're feeling and. It's like, that'd be really cool to know like exactly what's going on and what you're looking for.
Yeah. Like Andrew Huberman, that's one that would be on my list of people to interview on the podcast.
He should have been on that's a good one. He should have been there.
And I listened to quite a few of his, but I found that if I haven't kept up with it, then I forget a lot of the names.
Yes.
So I more come out with the ideas of what I want to do rather than everything that needs to happen because of that, which makes it so I don't talk about it as much. I just more try to implement the ideas.
Hey, you mentioned last episode that you were thinking about doing a marathon. Is that still on the table?
Yeah, whenever you want to do it, I'm down.
Now it's contingent upon me?
Yeah, because I'll just run it because you're running an ultra marathon pace, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, I'll just follow your pace. So don't go too fast, but I'll do it.
Oh, I'll go very slow. Yeah, so my current plan is try sometime in July to do an impromptu 50 miler, meaning like I'm just self-supported. It's not like an actual race. And then I think maybe November, I'm going to go out and do the Tunnel Hill 100 miler.
Yeah, I think that'll be good because I think you would have had it the last time if it wasn't for the heat.
Yeah, dude, that heat was brutal. And I trained really hard. I was actually reflecting on this whenever I ran today. I trained really hard for that 100 miler last summer. But one of the things I didn't do was enough long runs. Like my long runs were 20, 25, max 30 miles. I should have thrown in a couple of 40s and then at least 150, 1,50, not like 150, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. And that's this time around, I'm going to focus probably more on the long distance.
Do you think it has something to also do with the timing of it? Like, I think most of your runs were morning, day. Did you run through the night much at all during training?
No, I ran through the night only just a couple of times. I was trying to do most of my training during the hottest part of the day, which, I mean, that makes sense. I think that was still the right thing to do. But you were out there watching me. Did you feel like the night did something particular to me?
It could have been just the miles, but I feel like the night is where you started to fall apart a little bit. And it was probably just the miles because I know when the sun came up, you were about at 80 and we were all hurting. We were all hurting, but I know you were hurting even worse. So I don't know if that had something to do with it or.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when the sun went down, it became cool. That was beautiful. Like the fact, I remember all of us walking under the stars and just kind of looking up at it. And that was nice. And the weather felt great.
I saw a lot of meteors, I think.
Yeah. But I kept trying to take naps in the car, like little 5-10 minute naps in the car. So that is something I can think about is maybe getting more comfortable with no naps or anything.
Running like 12 hours, 7 to 7, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
It's not a bad thought. Actually, I'll toss this out to anyone who is still listening to our rambling for an hour and 45 minutes. My impromptu 50 miler, if you're in Wichita, if you want to come out and do a couple miles with me, or if you want to do the full 50 with me, I think that'd be a fun thing to do. Just get like a little crew out there and just go out and hit a 50 miler. We'll probably end up running through the night. Neither of you are jumping at us.
No, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but
okay. Well, you're both going to be out there. I'm going to drag you out there for It's part of it, at least.
I'll come out for part. For sure.
Yeah.
You're still not sold.
No,
Not really. You have no ambition to do it like a 50 or 100 or anything.
no, not right now. But I feel like I have to do a marathon first before I have ambition to do the next one.
So you think if you do a marathon that there's a chance you do a 50?
There's a chance. I don't know if it's high or not. So I actually have no idea if I would want to. But I feel like it makes more sense to focus on the marathon now than what's after it. But when I said 5K, it's like, okay, no more than 5K. It's like, okay, well, maybe 5 miles. And then it's 10, and then it's 13.1. Now it's 1 mile marathon.
What's next?
Yeah.
Fell in the back of your head.
Yeah.
I was going to, John, what's next for you, man?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure that out. I was in squatting today, and actually that might be my next goal is to get a good max squat down. I haven't done a lot of squatting or anything legs. Like I haven't focused on legs for a while. And so I think that might be like a good next step for me going forward.
Are you worried about getting injured at all?
I think it comes with the territory. Anything you do, you could get injured at. Like when I was trying to get 315 for bench, I was injured twice during that whole journey. I'll probably get hurt once or twice, but we'll make it work. So
It's a part of it.
I would say build on it and move forward.
Do you ever get injured, Grant?
I rolled my ankle in high school once, and it hurt sometimes because of that.
But that's like your worst injury?
Yeah, I go to the chiropractor sometimes, and I don't know necessarily how I feel about it, but it has helped me quite a bit. And just in the sense of my back was just hurting a lot. And I don't know if that was just from sitting too much or what, but that seems to help me quite a bit with that.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like accounting for at least one injury in any training block is like a necessity now. Like something's going to pop up that's going to hurt is at least what I've been seeing. You're younger than me, so maybe I'm just old.
1 year younger than me.
So, yeah. But
That's brutal. Last thing I was going to ask you about, Grant, was you'd be a good person maybe to know about this with a little bit of engineering that you may have interest in. NASA is sending a satellite. No, not NASA. The Japanese are sending a satellite out into space, going to the International Space Station. And it's the first satellite to ever be made out of wood. It's not made out of aluminum or any sort of metal. And the benefits of that are that since there's no oxygen, it's not going to decompose. And then the current issue with the satellite is when it re-enters the atmosphere, it burns up. So it burns up and it emits chemicals, but it still lands, and it just is not good for the atmosphere for that to happen with like a metal satellite. But with the wooden one, upon re-entry, it burns up entirely and just disintegrates, so there's nothing left. The Japanese are doing it in a method of design that I can't remember the name of, but you don't use any screws, any nails, or any glue. Like everything is almost like a Jenga block put together.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this? How does that work?
So I used to be kind of into woodworking, and then my mom wouldn't let me give me power saws or anything, so I stopped. But I did look into that quite a bit. And so it's more shaping things to look exactly to fit into different puzzle pieces. So if you want, instead of using a screw to put something in there, if you have two pieces of wood, I'll try and do it for the camera too, that you would take out a piece of this one right here to be able to make this one fit in perfectly. And you squeeze it in so tight that it can't necessarily move. And it's a very, very powerful way of doing that. And you kind of make your different, it's kind of a substitute for screw or a glue or anything of that sort.
A substitute, like, is it stronger? Is it less strong? Or is it equally strong?
Again, I have little experience on this because I just know that's how they do it, but I don't know anything more than that.
Okay.
For tables and stuff, I think it works fine, but I don't know about space stuff.
I'm going to phone a friend. I'm going to call a mechanical engineer. Well, John looks like he has a thought he's going to say.
Well, I was just going to say, I wonder how they send it up. I'm sure it's in a rocket of some sort made out of metal or ceramic or something like that, because getting out of the Earth's atmosphere, I'm sure, is very heat intensive.
Yeah, this is my first time hearing about that.
Yeah, it was in a newsletter not too long ago, but I don't know. It's interesting.
You a big newsletter guy?
I read Morning Brew every morning, which is just like business, general news and stuff like that. I don't watch the news. I can't do Fox or CNN or anything like that. So, but I do newsletters. Do you do newsletters?
I get really eager to sign up for them, and then I skip them every time. So I stopped signing up for them because I just kept kind of getting bored.
They always seem like a good idea initially.
Yeah, and then I never look at it.
The camera died.
Yeah, the camera died.
Yeah. It was a good job, guys.
Congratulations on 100 episodes, man.
Well done.
Thank you, guys. I
Really
appreciate
solid.
it.
Yeah.
Where you guys at on Instagram?
Grant Johnson Creates.
I'm at the Jon Pete.
I'm at Jacob O'Connor. The podcast is Real Period Conversations. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Thank you guys for coming on.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
See you
Thanks
guys.
for having me.